Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom, has just become the new Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, and he intends not only to save the world, but also to rule it. I'm Andrew the Geek Master, and in this video, we're going to talk about everything that happened in the latest chapter of Marvel's Blood Hunt event, which will put the world under doom. To make sure you don't miss stories like this, click the subscribe button, activate the notification bell, and let's get started. In Blood Hunt, Blade led a group of vampires called the Blood Coven to use the Dark Force to block out the sun, creating an eternal night and unleashing violent vampires upon the world. Then Blade brought the Temple of the First Blasphemy over Central Park, and it was revealed that Blade's body is being controlled by Varnae, the first vampire in history. He is controlling Blade's body and has fused with the Dark Force, greatly increasing his power and becoming the god of vampires. Varnae sent vampires to hunt down Blade's teenage daughter, Bloodline, who has the potential to defeat him. But the vampires failed in their mission because Brielle teamed up with Dracula and a vampire, Miles Morales. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange, trapped in astral form, and Clea traveled to Latveria to seek Dr. Doom's help in freeing Earth from the Dark Force. Doom agreed to help them, but only if Strange would give him the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme. To aid the heroes in their fight against the vampires, Moon Knight was freed and is leading a legion of Khonshu's fists. But the final battle is taking place inside the Temple of the First Blasphemy, where the Avengers confront Varnae and the Blood Coven. In Latveria, Clea is completely against Dr. Doom's plan to become the next Sorcerer Supreme. The villain claims that only he has the knowledge of the ritual to reverse the darkness, but to use it, he needs to become the Sorcerer Supreme. This is the only way to save the world. Doctor Strange, still in his astral form, eventually agrees with the villain. Doom has finally surpassed him. However, Stephen wonders if Doom engineered this crisis just for this moment, just to become the Sorcerer Supreme. Meanwhile, in Central Park, New York, the Avengers are battling Blade, whose body is being controlled by Varnae and the Blood Coven, a group of deadly and superpowered vampires. During the battle, the Scarlet Witch is finally freed, and now the Avengers are at full strength. Sam Wilson and Black Panther team up to fight Bloodstorm 1, with T'Challa thanking Sam for his speech in the previous chapters, as it helped him find the strength to resist the vampire's control. Thor confronts Varnae directly, reminding him that it's been 1,000 years since they last fought. The god of thunder tries to summon Mjolnir, but since the hammer is in orbit far away, Varnae has a temporary advantage in this battle. Nonetheless, the two engage in a massive fight. Thor versus Varnae, the god of thunder versus the god of vampires. Iron Man orders Scarlet Witch to conjure the Montesi formula, which would destroy all the evil vampires they're facing, but Wanda refuses to do so because the formula is too unpredictable. If she uses it, she might end up destroying an entire population, including all the good people who were turned. Bloodstorm 1, dismembering Vision, mocks this weakness of the heroes, saying that it is because of their humanity that they will lose. Back in Latveria, Dr. Doom informs Stephen and Clea that at this very moment the Avengers are fighting Varnae and the Blood Coven, and Khonshu's fists are fighting the vampires around the world, but it still won't be enough. Doctor Strange's astral form agrees again, but before passing his powers and title of Sorcerer Supreme, he wants Dr. Doom's word and oath that once the world is saved, he will return these things to Stephen. Doom indeed gives his word, and Doctor Strange hands him a fragment of his living soul. Since Stephen's body is currently undead, the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme is passed to Victor Von Doom. To Clea's surprise, Dr. Doom now possesses all the powers of the Sorcerer Supreme. He gets a new look, blending his outfit with Stephen's robe, and when Stephen greets him as the new Sorcerer Supreme, Doom responds with something like, "No, hail Doom." Meanwhile, in Manhattan, Dracula and Bloodline, Blade's daughter, approach the Temple of the First Blasphemy where Varnae is located. Miles Morales appears, asking Bloodline if she's really going after her father. Brielle asserts that she has to do it because it's her responsibility. Her father raised her to be a cold, sharp sword, and a sword is made to cut. Back at the Temple of the First Blasphemy, we see Varnae getting the better of Thor. He has managed to defeat the King of Asgard and imprison him with the Dark Force. The villain reveals that of all the Avengers, Thor is the one he hates the most because they are eternal enemies. However, just as Varnae is about to deliver the final blow, Mjolnir finally returns to its rightful owner. The arrival of the powerful hammer restores Thor to his full power, promising to change the course of the battle. Iron Man, struggling against Damascene, asks if Captain Marvel can break through the darkness in the sky and bring some sunlight as she did in the previous chapters. But Carol responds that the Dark Force is much denser here in the temple, and even she can't break through it. Fortunately for Tony, Vision reveals that he still has a bit of stored solar energy for a critical moment and uses it to destroy Damascene. However, to the hero's delight, this is when the cavalry arrives. Moon Knight appears to help the heroes, and he is not alone. He has brought Khonshu's fists with him. In Latveria, Dr. Doom is making his preparations as Sorcerer Supreme to end this crisis. He gathers the students of Strange Academy, positioning them specifically and initiating a mega spell, weaving the many colors of magic together, resulting in an act of magic never seen before. As the Avengers and Khonshu's fists continue their fight against Varnae's forces, the heroes remain at a disadvantage. Even with Thor wielding Mjolnir, Carol using her maximum power, and even the power of Scarlet Witch, anything that tries to hit Varnae is swallowed by the Dark Force because the villain is drawing power from the entire Dark Force dimension. As Varnae himself says, he only has one weakness: the lineage of the body he controls, the girl, Blade's daughter, and she is not here. That is, at that exact moment, Bloodline appears and drives her sword into Blade's body, claiming she came to save her father. However, even then, Varnae is not defeated. He has spent so much time in Blade's body that it is now as much his as Blade's. Bloodline may be Blade's lineage, but she is not Varnae's lineage. But then, to everyone's surprise, Miles Morales also appears here and helps Bloodline drive the sword even deeper into the villain. Since it was Varnae who turned Miles into a vampire, this means that Miles is Varnae's lineage. The joint strike by Miles and Brielle causes Varnae to start vomiting the Dark Force from within him. Moreover, Dr. Doom, who is preparing a spell to end this crisis, senses that Varnae's concentration has been broken. He realizes that his control has been disrupted, making this the perfect moment to strike. He finally casts his spell, creating breaches in the Dark Force cloud surrounding the planet. With the Dark Force leaving Blade's body, Scarlet Witch can free him from Varnae's control, finally returning Blade to normal. Due to the blow he received from Bloodline and Miles, Blade is gravely injured. Brielle apologizes for this, but Blade says she did a good job. After all, that's what he taught her. With this, we have the conclusion of this scene. Vision and Moon Knight, who were severely injured in the battle against the vampires, are okay, and the Blood Coven fled as soon as they realized Varnae's defeat. Varnae was imprisoned by Scarlet Witch, and Blade didn't die. His wounds were treated, thanks in large part to Iron Man, who used the resources of his suit. Finally, Captain Marvel contacts all the Avengers, saying she doesn't know if it was what they did or what Doctor Strange did, but fortunately, the Dark Force is leaving Earth. Yes, the heroes are very happy to see the sun rise again in this dark world. With everything resolved, Stephen Strange praises Doom for this incredible power that saved Earth from the vampiric crisis. Now, Doctor Strange's astral form waits for Doctor Doom to fulfill his promise and follow his oath to return the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme. There is a tense moment of silence as Strange reminds Doom of the oath he made. Doom recalls that he swore to return the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme when he saved the world, but that hasn't happened yet. He has only begun to save the world. Doom uses his new powers to make Steven disappear before him, claiming that Doom never does anything halfway. He intends to show Steven and everyone what it means to save the world. Meanwhile, Miles is very happy to see the sun, but then he remembers that he is still a vampire and could die in the sunlight. But nothing happens. It might have something to do with Doom's spell, but Dracula himself says that for some reason, the sun has lost its sting over vampires. Vampires have a new dawn ahead of them because, for the first time in history, the children of the night don't need to fear the day. This is already a new problem for the heroes to solve. But as if that weren't enough, Iron Man realizes that there is a broadcast happening all over the world. To the surprise of all the heroes, the author of the broadcast is Doctor Doom, who claims that the threat of the vampire invasion has come to an end, and that this world has been saved once again. And there is only one name to thank for such a feat: the new Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, Victor Von Doom. I hope you enjoyed this chapter that marks the end of this bloody saga. Comment on what you thought of Doctor Doom as the new Sorcerer Supreme and what you expect for Marvel's future. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and leave your like to support us. Thanks for watching, and until the next adventure.